Good afternoon, it's Dean Jenn, and I'm coming from to you from campus. It is pretty quiet here. Exams are going on, but I wanted to give you a bit of an update of where we are in the law school. I got a chance to talk with you in December when there was a surge, if you remember, way back then. And we were talking about how we were managing as a law school through three pandemics. Of course, the obvious pandemic of COVID, the kind of secondary pandemic of the economy, and also the racial reckoning that really came to the fore over the summer after the murder of George Floyd. And so we have been kind of in dealing with all of those and actually meeting them all head on through the course of the year, but also working towards excellence and coming together as a community. And so even though we're all a little bit tired this year, we've done a lot, and I want to share some of that with you in the framework of talking about the three pandemics and giving you an update in each of those areas. So first, in terms of COVID, and the way that our students learned this year, as we went through the year, we probably had a little bit less in person than we had at the beginning of the year, but we still had a number of classes, particularly 1L classes and experiential learning classes. They came in person once a week, safely distanced and with masks. And the faculty who were teaching remotely, some of them who had never taught remotely, have been here for many years, really worked very hard over the summer to work on different kinds of modalities and hybrid and asynchronous. And so the students overall got a very positive educational experience, really adapted well, everybody along the way. And those students that did come here, even though it was once a week, was really important for them to be able to come to campus, particularly the first year students, get to know a few of their classmates, get to know their professors. So we ended up having more in-person class presence than any other college at the university, and really became a model for trying to pilot different things and testing and Zoom students and in-person students. So we were really glad to be able to do that and try some things out that actually other colleges are going to be doing next year as we transition back to campus. And so a lot has gone remote. So we went remote primarily in terms of our classes, but also for our graduates, the Illinois bar exam and pretty much almost all bar exams went remote last year. They went remote in October, which was a delay of the July exam in Illinois, and that was done remotely. We have now been through a remote February exam with less test takers, and then now we're preparing for a remote July 2021 exam that our graduates are already transitioning to prepare for this summer, and they're already they've been taking a capstone course and really getting that under their belt, and we now have some practice with a remote exam. So it's probably good, considering the transitions that are going on, that we're continuing to go remote. But the good news, one of the silver linings, and part of the silver linings is it better than we expected, even though we didn't know how things were going to go with an October exam late in the year. The students had to really be very disciplined, that we did increase our bar exam success. Our bar passage did increase in Illinois. And so for overall, in the last couple of years, we've increased 13 percentage points on the bar exam in Illinois. And so we are very pleased. We are rallying and increasing that very important benchmark for us to be able to make sure that our students succeed, able to get terrific jobs when they graduate. So we're very heartened by that, even in the midst of the pandemic. But even though we have had some successes, we also have been very conscious of the needs of our students, and they have been great this past year in a number of ways. And for our students, we've also been able to see some of the inequities among them, and they have really become evident as students have gone remote. So, for example, we set up an emergency fund, and much of it was funded by our alumni, and so we're so grateful for that. We have distributed about $45,000 to close to 60 students, over 60 students in areas like technology enhancement, in getting them a desk set up when they didn't have room for that, or the ability to put a table and chair in their apartment. And so we've really seen the needs really increase, and have tried to really meet the needs as they've come up, and we've had to adapt as a law school to try to equalize our students' experiences as much as possible. And we've also been able to provide, through the course of the year, we've kept the building open, we've kept the library open a number of days a year, both for bar takers as well as for students who want to come here and study, and that's been wonderful. And our library staff has stepped up. They have been here in person at least one day a week, each of them, to make sure that our students are taken care of in our own building, in our own home. And so we've tried to provide a number of options for our students who need that kind of support. But in addition to the kind of the monetary and the emergency kind of help that we've provided, we've also had to really be thinking about and be intentional with mental health concerns of our students, and trying to meet those needs with additional counseling, with additional resources that they could be directed to, therapy that is online, as well as ways that we could have some programs here at the law school, even virtually. So we've been trying to be very sensitive to that, and that's something, again, as a silver lining, is to have consciousness of that and have built up those resources, and that will continue post-pandemic to help support our student community. We're also having a virtual commencement. So we are preparing this week. Graduation is Saturday. And so all of the grads and their loved ones will be sitting around their computers and their televisions and watching the commencement that was recorded a few weeks ago. And so we're also having a class toast. We're also having a board that commemorates them. And so that's been a really wonderful celebration, the best we can do. I think it's important to make sure that the graduates know, in the ways that we can express, just how grateful we are to them and just how proud we are of them. And that does not take away from the accomplishment of becoming a lawyer this year, just because we couldn't celebrate in person. And we hope that as things continue to get better across the state and the city, we'll be able to have an in-person reception and celebrate those graduates very, very soon. The third pandemic, and one that we have also been focusing on alongside of the others, is the racial reckoning and the outcry for racial justice. And that has been something that's been very important to think about. And we've already been in the planning process into thinking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but we've really stepped up our efforts. So last summer, we created an Alumni Diversity Council, which has been fabulous in giving me thought leadership. They're leaders in the field. I've come to them with a lot of situations that have come up or questions that have come up in helping us to implement the diversity plan, which is it's a blueprint that we had created even before last summer. But what we felt once we got to last summer, with our students, with our alumni, with our faculty, was an urgency to do more. And so we've done a number of initiatives, and all of them, again, as a silver lining, are really going to stay and be sustainable going forward. So the first is a set of community conversations that we've had, and so we've come together as a community. We had a number of programs in the fall, and then in the spring we followed up with a program on microaggressions and microaffirmations that were attended by alumni and faculty and staff, as well as students. And we also had the perspective of a community activist and someone who is affected by some of the laws and policies that we talk about at the law school. So we featured Jamal Cole from My Block, My Hood, My City. And we also had a Jaharis symposium this spring that focused on health inequities and the role of technology in trying to alleviate those inequities. So we've done a lot to try to create conversation, but we also know that that's not enough. We've created service opportunities in the area of racial justice. We're looking at ways to expand experiential learning in racial justice. But I think most importantly is the faculty came together after close to a year of work starting in the fall, and they have come up with a set of curricular recommendations that are really in accordance with the spirit of action that we have been we've been leading with at the university level, and also at a national level, that all law schools are taking a really close look at their curricula and looking at their programs and how we can create lawyers who are really culturally competent and ready to enter the world as it is, and really with a knowledge of history and an ability to address very and work with many different populations. And so we have just adopted a set of recommendations, which include every student will take an upper level course that is related to systemic racism or social justice. We will have a learning outcome for our students so that when they graduate, they will have we'll have a way to assess that they have learned in the area of systemic racism, and learning about that and being able to know more about this area of racial justice. And third, that the 1L courses will incorporate more of these discussions and this material related to racism and structural inequality. So I think that all is very important and really important steps that we need to take. And it's wonderful that we're all working together to make the world a better place and make the lawyers better that are coming out of DePaul. The last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the pandemics is the economy. And the economy, as I understand, has hit different sectors in different ways. Some firms and some organizations have really weathered the storm well, doing well, been able to keep all of their lawyers and all of their staff. And other sectors of the legal practice have been hit harder, and they have struggled more. And so we have tried to adapt as a law school in making sure that, particularly for the class of 2020, which did have that later bar, which then were looking for jobs, starting in November, once they knew that they passed the bar, that we really hustled for them, particularly under the leadership of Law Career Services and the efforts they have working one-to-one with each of our graduates to try to get a good match, to really understand what the market was looking like, where the jobs were. And so I'm very pleased to let you know that the class of 2020 and its placement in JD required or JD preferred jobs, where the JD is really a valuable skill set and a very valuable degree in full-time positions, is higher than the national average, and it is also very competitive and better than some of our regional competitors. And so we are very proud of that. We are on a trajectory up, not just in bar passage, but also in career placement, which is very important to our graduates. And again, I want to really thank our alums. I have made the call and I've made the ask to many of our alums over the course of the last 6 years to help our students get jobs, to help them get externships, to get them their summer fellowships, help to fund those initiatives. And they have really made the difference as more and more of our graduates are being placed in those JD required or JD advantage jobs. So thank you again for that success. And so we are on a strong path, even with the pandemic, to be moving forward and even improving those statistics more going on. Our OCI, we still had OCI this year, even though it was virtual, and we were able to grow some of the offers as well as some of the organizations and firms that participated in OCI. So that was also a nice feather in the cap. And we anticipate that OCI will be back in August, and it will be back live. But stay tuned. Kind of anything can happen. We're hoping that July will be the opening of Chicago, and August will be the opening of the law school, and we'll be able to begin that with OCI. the last thing I want to say, just kind of before I talk about next year and give you a little bit of a preview or trailer for next year, is just to tell you how proud I am, again, in the midst of the three pandemics, that we have been able to increase and improve our national reputation. In the last 2 years, we have improved 21 ranks in U.S. News, which enhances our reputation. Much of that success is due to what I was talking to you about before, which are the student success indicators, bar passage, career placement, and admissions have all been stronger and stronger each year, which then once we follow those North Stars and they get brighter, it really does help to enhance our reputation nationally in a more general way. And so that and with the support of the university, which has allowed us to decrease the class size, to make sure that our scholarships are competitive, we have been able to meet those goals of enhancing our national reputation, which I know that all of you as alumni want to be very proud of in terms of our regional and national reputation. The other thing I'll mention is we have these programs of excellence. Many of you have graduated from them, whether it's IP or health or public interest or immigration. And 7 of those programs of excellence have been getting good grades, great grades, I think, from Pre-Law magazine. 7 of them received an A or A+ in Pre-Law magazine. And even in diversity, we got an A- rating fairly recently, particularly because of the diversity of our student body. So I'm very proud of that and proud to end the year on that strong note and that good news. But even as we embrace and celebrate our accomplishments and getting through this year, we are already planning for next year. And as you probably know, it's we're a little bit tired. Everybody's been working very hard this year. Everybody's hopefully going to take some good time off with their families. But next year we are getting ready for a full in-person, back to our traditional and law school beginning in fall 2021. In mid-August, orientation begins, and we are super proud of the class that's coming in. We already have first deposits. Our indicators are rising. Our diversity is strong. We are also, of course, keeping an eye on what's happening with the pandemic. We do hope that everything will be much more back to normal this fall. But DePaul University has decided, like many other universities, that the best way to ensure that we can come back in person, we can be comfortable with each other, is that they're going to require vaccinations for students coming back. So we've been very proactive. The university has provided a number of opportunities for faculty, staff, and students to get vaccinated in the city, and so we hope that will be something that we will be able to, and even better, enable us to get together as a community sooner. And that really brings me to one of my final points. And although there's much to celebrate, there has been a loss this year, and not only the loss of life, the loss of health. Our students, many of them have had loved ones, as many of you have had loved ones who have become ill with COVID, that have caused a lot of disruption and a lot of trauma in families. But we, as a community, we've also had some loss, and that is, it's really been hard with all of us remote to get together, and particularly for our students to build the bonds, whether it's bonds, especially for our 1L students, to build the bonds with each other. I'm over 30 years graduated from law school, and I still have friends and people that I pick up the phone and call who are from my section from 1L year, right? So how important those connections are. And of course, also, the connections between students and faculty, we have lost a little bit of, because it's harder, in some ways it's easy to be remote, but it's also something that you have to be more deliberate about in talking to your professors. They're not just there in front of the room. You can just ask them a question after class. So we really do need to to rebuild those connections and also rebuild our student organizations, which are often our, a lot of professional work, professional development work goes on, a lot of service goes on in those organizations. And we found that membership is not as strong, partly because the students haven't been here building those communities together. And so we're going to really do a lot more internally, but this is important also as alumni. We've also lost some of our alumni connection that we've really been building very strongly over the last 5 years, and we are going to be coming back strong. You're going to be hearing from us. We're going to be reaching out. We're going to be having events, and we're hoping then also to improve those connections, not just alumni to alumni, but alumni to recent graduates and alumni to our students, because they really value those connections, that mentoring and that networking, which is so vital and so much a part of who we are as a DePaul Law community. So we will get all that back very, very, very soon, and know that you'll be a part of it. I always try to end with a call to action for all of our alums, because sometimes you hear my report and you ask, well, what can I do as an alum? What would make a difference? And I say everything you can do makes a difference. All of you being ambassadors of the law school and doing well in your fields of practice is something that you can do for the law school. But there are a few more things that I can ask of you. Those that and many of you already have stepped up, and I'm so grateful for you being models and inspiring others to give in all the different ways that I'm going to talk about. Of course, the first is funding and resources. We had this past year, the Now We Must campaign, which was very focused on our students' experiences, their experiences in the here and now, their need for fellowships, their need for emergency funding, their need for technology and mental health support. And those needs will continue. And so if you can give to Fund for Law, and you can do that very easily at give.depaul.edu/law, you will continue to fund those efforts, because most of the money that's come in this year has gone to those efforts that are very student-centered and will continue at least for the next years to come. The other ways that you can help, and I mentioned one of them before, and that is to hire our students, hire our graduates. If you have an opening, if you know of an opening, even if it's an internship, a part-time job, please let us know, because we can, again, support our own and pay it forward and create that community and those opportunities. And I know that has already been impactful in improving our career placement rates and increasing our students' experiences in practice and in fellowships as well during the summers before they graduate. You can also volunteer. There are a number of ways to volunteer that are simply one-offs, so to speak. There are a few hours of your time. We're going to be recruiting some alumni to participate in our mock interview program for our Prepare to Practice, which is for our 1L students. We are looking for panelists for different programs, whether it's from in our student organizations putting on programs or law career services, and we also even have alumni helping to recruit our students, writing notes to them to welcome them to the community. Those are all kinds of ways that you can help. And last but not least, there is mentoring. There are new mentoring opportunities. We're working with the CBA Young Lawyers Division. We also have some mentoring opportunities here at the law school. So if you have the inclination to mentor our students, please do let us know, because it's really everything is helpful. Or if you can let us know when there's a networking event and you can bring a student or two to a network event, it's really impactful to them and can lead to a job or some other wonderful opportunity for them. And the network that we have is our superpower, and we need to keep using it. So last but certainly not least, I'm going to end with gratitude. I'm going to end with gratitude to our community who's given so much this year, including our dedicated faculty, our caring staff, our engaged alumni board members, our enthusiastic volunteers, our inspiring mentors, our steadfast employers and employers to be, and our generous donors. I could not have done, and we could have not done all of this that we've done this year without all of you. And so I'll end with a quote that I'm going to share with the graduates this Saturday, and it is a quote by Helen Keller. "Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope." I appreciate and love your optimism and hope for the law school, and I will need you to continue that optimism and hope as we transition out of these pandemics into a great world for DePaul Law. Thank you very much and have a great summer. Hope I'll see you soon in person. Thanks.